Welcome to Group Dates and Hot Takes. I'm Sampy.
I'm Christy.
Let's talk about Married at First Sight. We're back. It's episode 10. The month-iversaries, Christy. How about that? I mean, we kick off this episode at day 27, and they get to the month during this episode. What do you think about that? How's your perception of this season been so far?
A bit of a mixed bag. I mean, some people have been doomed since the honeymoon.
In your opinion.
Yes. I always just find it funny, the whole 1 month anniversary concept, because they act like it's been so long.
Yeah, that's very much...
But it's just been a month.
That's very much not a long time.
And 1 week of that was the honeymoon. So...
Yeah,
it's too soon for a look back.
Okay, that's your opinion. Yeah, there's been a lot of ups and downs. I will say that. A lot of ups and downs. It's been a roller coaster for, I would say, most of our couples. I don't really think there's been a single couple here that hasn't just wildly swung around. Is that pretty usual?
Yeah, it's pretty rare that you have a couple with no drama. They're gonna have to find something to keep it interesting.
Well, they really try to get couples on here that will generate drama, I'm sure. I've been very disenchanted with the experts, personally.
Well, they're just missing.
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Normally there's more expert visits, I feel like.
Where are they? What are they doing?
We haven't even seen Dr. Pepper in person yet, right?
I don't believe so.
And we're already halfway through.
Yeah, we've sort of seen her in person from just her filming what's essentially an ITM.
Yeah.
But that's it. No actual appearance into the season itself. Very strange. Very strange. I've been a little disappointed with that because I thought they were supposed to be like a big part of the show and actually invested in making these relationships work and all of that, and they have been pretty much absent this entire time. So that's real great. Who would you like to start with?
We can do Lindy and Miguel.
Okay. Well, they get to go on a bit of a sailboat adventure, I guess, for their month-iversary. Maybe whale watching. I don't know.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that he called it a stone, not a milestone. He just has to find a way to, like, make it less of what it is.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't necessarily think they're doomed. It is just always funny to me to see how he does his best to minimize the significance of everything. Which, look, I don't necessarily blame him for this moment, just because, yeah, we're watching this thing. They've been married for a month. Mm-hmm. He may be right in this situation, but it is still funny. One thing I feel like their boat trip wasn't necessarily the best, and maybe I'm reading more into it than it is. They just kind of they fluctuate a lot themselves. I mean, they were just talking about how, or at least Miguel was, how he had a hard time, but there's a certain amount of stability because her going crazy is predictable. Essentially, he can predict that she will go crazy.
That's a nice way of putting it, I suppose. Very diplomatic. Like, that's consistent at least.
what is wrong with Lindy? Okay, that is my question. I don't want to be too harsh here, but at seemingly every opportunity, she tries to make things worse.
She's actively looking for trouble. She's like, you haven't seen me at my worst.
Right, and I don't know if that's just I don't know if that's just her trying to get all of this out of the way so that she doesn't get hurt later, or what's going on here. But you don't do that when he's like, yeah, like seen you at your worst, and like it's fine. She's like, oh, you haven't seen anything yet. I just feel like that sort of thing from her has a similar effect on him as his constant sort of minimizing of the importance of their relationship or the significance of it has on her. Like, I feel like it's, if that makes sense, like her constantly being like, oh, I am so freaking crazy, and don't worry, buddy, it's gonna come out and you're gonna get knocked on your butt here, because let me tell you, it's wild. It seems like kind of the same thing.
I feel like they're kind of like treading water until one of them snaps. Everything has just kind of been like, oh, like we really like each other, everything's great. Yeah, but sure, like she has some outbursts, but it's all fine. I feel like there's like could be a breaking point coming.
I would agree with that. I don't really think they have what it takes. There's too much sort of stuff underneath the surface that I think it's just all waiting for those moments to come out, and I think there's just a lot of pretending. I mean, we've talked about this before of Lindy being so desperate for it to work, and him kind of being in a weird place, and they're even though there's not as much constant drama as some of the other couples, it feels hard to feel optimistic about them, I guess, because it's like there's a lot of on edge feeling when you're watching them.
Yeah, it's all like bubbling like right underneath the surface, but there's like this facade that they're both putting on, but especially Lindy.
Right, because and after the boat trip, I mean, Lindy does talk about how she's been much less anxious since they got married, and then at the same time, you have her just being all weird when they look through that book that everyone got sent of the wedding pictures. Like, everybody got sent a little basket with of course, a bottle of champagne and their vows framed, and then a book of the pictures from their wedding and reception. And they're just flipping through.
She just laughed at all of them.
Right, and that, I guess that's what. So here, I'll just read what I wrote here. She just needs to calm down. It's like the chaos is her shield. It just seems to me like that. This is like a coping mechanism for her or something, that like all of the snark, all of like the awkwardness, all of the weird laughing, like all of that is just like a protective layer. And so it's very hard for her to be fully genuine and just like sit there and appreciate those pictures. She has to like she has to pick at them.
Yeah, it was weird. And Miguel did not appreciate that.
No.
He was just like, they were nice. I just wanted to look at the photos.
Right, which is totally understandable.
We also heard her say that he has lived up to his vows, but I noticed we didn't hear or see footage of whether he thinks she has lived up to her vows.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh boy. Oh, that's real. That's real tough.
So yes or no on them?
I'm gonna go with no. I think that this is a calm before the storm.
I'm gonna go with yes.
Oh my goodness!
But,
Seriously?
but they probably be the couple that like breaks up after decision day before the reunion.
There ends up being a fair amount of those people, aren't there?
Yeah, like Lindsay and Mark from last season. One of the worst matches of all time, who inexplicably said yes on decision day.
Said yes, but we're still divorced like 3 months later. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough for me to see them working. There's just a lot of unresolved things under the surface there that give me pause.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you like to go next?
Let's do Stacia and Nate.
Okay. Oh boy.
Well, we first see that Stacia meets with her mom. I guess this episode, everyone kind of had a person to talk with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we gotta get a little exposition at the beginning. Come on.
Yeah, and I feel like we are seeing what Stacia will look like in 30 years. Like, she looks exactly like her mom.
It's possible. That is the case a lot of the time.
So she's kind of just talking about Nate and that he's a slow mover. I guess she kind of has realized she hasn't given him enough time to open up, which is a lot of what we were talking about last week. And Mom is like, yeah, it's just been a month.
That was very, very funny. so accurate too. It's like, it's only been a month. Like, what are you talking about here? I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here, but Stasia's still just holding on to her past of being let down, and that's just it's something that makes me have a hard time, maybe even more of a hard time than with Lindy and Miguel. That just having a hard time with seeing a future for this couple and being optimistic, because it just seems like she's invested so much into projecting perfection. I mean, we see like she is always wearing a ton of makeup. Like, that's why, and I just noted this because whenever she gets emotional, she has to very carefully dab her eyes.
Yeah,
because she's always wearing so much makeup that
you're on TV. You can't
look. I know. I'm not trying to pick at her for wearing makeup. It's just one of many things that I've noticed. You know, just like the intense focus on generating a ton of income and making generational wealth and having a specific timeline. It's just there are all these different layers, it seems like, that she uses to protect herself.
She's very put together.
Right. And I mean, even like her apartment or house or whatever it is, that she just keeps so pristine,
immaculate,
that it looks like nobody lives there. It's so much effort to what I personally think at the end of the day kind of is a front, because she's been hurt so much emotionally. And so it's just, I think it's going to be tough for her to dig herself out of that hole. And it's this sort of thing that, I mean, kind of ironically, because the thing she wants the most, right, is somebody to love her, and somebody who can be trusted and all of that stuff. But she spent so much time projecting perfection and building these walls that all of this stuff she's done, I'm sure, serves to push people away. I mean, we've seen that with Nate a bit at times, where he's felt pushed away by how she's operated. So, I don't know. It just, I hope for her sake that she can figure out how to move forward, not like compromise what she wants and sees in store for herself, but is actually able to take a slightly different path in terms of really opening up and not just opening up with an objective, because that's kind of how I see things with her a lot. But there you go. There's my rant.
I mean, it seems like she's made some progress.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say,
not quite as hard on Nate this episode as she was before.
Right, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but since we're talking about this, I'll mention it. Like I did think that it was nice that Stacia offered to dog sit Luna. I did make note of that because having said all of this stuff, I thought that was a good thing, a good step to take, and sort of was a vulnerable thing, and was something like she knows that Nate had kind of wanted to potentially get a dog, and so that was a step to actually see if that was feasible, something that he wanted. So she's definitely trying. It's just relationships are hard, and relationships are very hard with baggage. So
I feel like that particular dog, though, is like not the best one, because it comes with a whole laundry list of stuff. Like,
I know,
like Kristen gave her the lint roller.
Yeah, well, with
a whole schedule,
a whole refill for the lint roller.
Yeah, she had to show her how to clean the wrinkle.
That was so freaking funny to me.
It's just the look on Stasia's face the whole time was just like wide-eyed, like, what have I gotten myself into? Right,
especially as Kristen is actively cleaning the wrinkle, and she has to like hold the dog's head in such a way that that its like face is back, and she's like, yeah, this is the only way.
And then like digging in there with this like weird white thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't deal with that. And she has to do that every day.
Yeah, you gotta clean the wrinkle. and then also, yeah, you just keeps cutting to Stacia as her face is like just shocked, cannot believe this. It's also with explaining the poop bags.
Yep.
That was something that she definitely did not want in her life. But I mean, I just noted that like that was a good attempt to like be flexible and include some of his potential goals and stuff. So I'm not trying to say that she's not trying or anything.
Yeah, it was good.
It's just it's a tough thing to be married at first sight.
Well, they did have to leave Luna behind when they went to sign the postnup.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like slightly confused about what normally happens with like all the other couples who don't sign these. Like, what happens to assets, joint bank accounts? We've never seen this sort of thing before.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's probably got to be some sort of legal precedent for this type of. I mean, I know, like not like the married at first sight situation, but like such a short marriage, because it just seems like legally there wouldn't be much point to somebody gets married and then they get divorced 2 months later. I don't really see like and say like alimony or like all these like spousal support or something. Like I don't see that being a thing, but I also don't know the law, and this is America, so there could be some weird thing. But
yeah, I mean, right now she wants separate accounts, but possibly joining in the future.
Right? Yeah, she just wants to protect her assets, which is smart. I mean, you don't know the true character of who you're marrying here at first sight. It's intelligent in my opinion. She has a couple a couple personal properties. Theoretically, she has some, business properties that she's been working on flipping, and then, just all of her piles and piles of money. So,
yeah, it's smart to make arrangements, especially considering the success rate of the show.
Yeah, and to his credit, Nate is trying to go along with things, and
yeah, we mean it would look really bad if he was like, "No, I want more of the pie."
it really would. It really would, and look, like, I do think that it makes sense how things were divided. I don't think that it would make sense for all time. I mean, they were talking about how things would be split up, because they were talking about like sort of having a common fund, not joining everything, but having a common fund, and like, well, if one person puts in 90 and one person puts in 10, if you split up, should you really change those percentages? And I feel like that does make sense for the short term, just given how many of these people get divorced. I mean, it's not necessarily makes sense in the long term, because you get to a certain point. It's like, well, you're married. You've been married for a long time. Who cares if one person is making less or one person, like, you're married, like, these are your common funds. And so it kind of changes the picture in terms of how things might get split up. But if you're going to get divorced in 6 months, why would you split everything 50-50? But there you go.
We get a brief little scene of Luna humping that dog bed again.
Goodness gracious.
So funny.
I love how he's like at his desk watching this, and he's like, what? She's a girl. It doesn't even make sense.
Girls have needs too.
Yes, but typically when you think of like a dog humping, like, that's a more male thing that you think of. Well,
it's a strange dog. I mean, there's no other explanation.
What a very, very strange dog. So their anniversary, how did you think about their anniversary celebrations?
Well, it went better than I thought it was going to, based on what we've seen in previous episodes. Especially when, like, he started off being like, yeah, I was trying my best, but, like, you dismissed my efforts, and you don't realize you're hurting me. Mm-hmm. And he also recognizes that she didn't mean to hurt him. And all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I trust you now. And I'm falling in love, after she asks, where are you with love?
Didn't she learn her lesson by now?
Well, and this time it worked out in her favor, but that could have gone very badly again.
I mean, he says he's a 7 or an 8, and that he's falling in love. I mean, I don't know if that's true.
I mean, that's a big leap from one episode to the next. We went from a 4 to an 8. Double the love. She was shocked to hear this too, which I was as well.
Yeah.
It's like, where'd that come from?
I don't know if I totally believe that, but I guess we'll see how things go. I guess the other part of their anniversary celebrations was that they went to get matching tattoos.
It's a painful celebration.
I mean, I don't know how much nerves there are in that specific area.
I mean, Stacia was grimacing in pain quite a bit there.
Yeah, but we don't know anything about her pain tolerance.
I mean, no, but it didn't look like.
No, I'm sure it wasn't fun. The tattoo was their wedding date in Roman numerals on the side of their hand, which is that's just a weird place for a tattoo, in my opinion. But
yeah, I also noted that one of the tattoo artists' name was Fella. I hope that's a nickname and not What his parents named him.
Now, I'm sure, look, his parents did not name him that, but with a lot of sort of tattoo, I don't know if I'd say culture or like there's just like, there's actual like, I guess really it is a culture there. So like people have nicknames and,
So kind of like rappers do then.
Well, I don't know if it's that extensive. It's just like chances are if you're a tattoo artist, you're somebody who's actually into like body modification and all of that stuff. And so, you probably have a higher percentage of people who would, go by wacky nicknames and stuff than, your, average population. But
there is also one other thing he said that just annoys me every time it happens on this show. It's people who are obviously part of a TV production. Like, you know what show this is, and you ask, how long have you guys known each other? Like,
wait, how is he supposed to know? All the cameras?
Like,
no.
Do they think we're stupid? Like, why is that a thing they tell them to ask?
Yes, they do think we're stupid. But that's a whole nother conversation.
It's very annoying to me, but...
Oh,
all right,
boy.
Yes or no on them? I think I'm going to say yes because of the pre or post-nup thing.
Really?
Because, like, that seems like a lot of effort. It seems like a lot of future planning to bother with that.
Well, they have definitely been doing a lot of future planning. Whether or not that sticks may be another question entirely.
It might not, but it just seems like a lot of effort.
Yeah, it definitely is, though. I'm sure with everything she does, she has those lawyers on retainer. So is maybe not quite as far a step for her as it would be for most people. If you make over $400,000 a year, you probably like you have a lawyer who like enough. Really knows you because you spend your time protecting yourself legally. Unlike poor people like us who don't have our own private lawyers. But I digress. I am going to agree with you. I'm going to say yes as well. I think that if Nate really is to be trusted, and I'm going to choose to trust him for now, and Stacia continues to work on herself and be a little bit more flexible with her timelines and her requirements, so that she can kind of have the husband she has rather than the perfect husband that she's created for herself. I think they have a pretty solid chance. There you go. I'll say yes.
Let's move to Kristen and Mitch.
Oh, boy.
First thing we see is meeting with her friend, Zoe.
I guess they wanted to be crafty and make some candles.
I always find it interesting that whenever she's talking to somebody about Mitch, she always starts off with like, oh, we have so much fun together. Marriage is great.
We're so happy. But he's the worst person I've ever met.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's just trying to cover up the bad. The bad is too much. Like, it always comes through. And she's like, he thinks success is the enemy of the environment.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I'm sure it's tough for her because I get where she's coming from, because it seems like, to me at least, that her starting off with that is she doesn't want to just be negative about all this, because I think she does genuinely like a lot of the parts of their marriage. I think that is true.
And yeah, I mean, she keeps saying that. It's just hard for me to
Well, because
believe.
You take one look at Mitch and you're like, no. Absolutely not. But I think that she really wants to make this work, and most situations things aren't all good or all bad. So there are a lot of positives to it, but there are also a lot of negatives as well. And I think that's where that kind of, it's not really a disconnect, but that always like, oh, this is so great, but also like this is pretty bad too.
So for their 1 month, they go to, I don't even know how to describe it. It was this weird.
Well, it was a yoga retreat, but before we get there, I just wanted to note here real quick, like, it's sad. It's sad to me to see Kristen struggle, and like just the fact that like she's talking with her friend about how like she is determined to be the best wife possible. Like that is her goal, and then this is sort of sums things up. She's happy, but is this a match? That's like what they closed out with, which is kind of sad. That she feels like so split about this in a lot of ways. But yeah, I mean, we already talked about the appearance of Stacia to take away the stupid wrinkle dog. But yeah, they had to. I guess it's just a yoga retreat, which, again, this just keeps going back to Kristen is trying to be flexible. Like she said, let me see here. Yeah, I mean she said like she's super, like this is what she wanted to do, but like, is it?
It didn't seem like it.
Is it really? Is going to some random yoga lodge in the middle of nowhere really what she would want for an anniversary?
I don't even know if this is what Mitch wanted either. It seemed like they were both kind of like, wow, this place is a bit strange.
I mean, he seemed to really like it. He was like, ooh, this is like, I'm getting a lot of Buddhist vibes here.
I mean, then we met Lorian, I guess, the yoga instructor.
Yeah.
But like Mitch just kept like groaning and grunting throughout everything, which was very funny.
Yeah, very old man energy, because they went to do this yoga session, and this woman at the retreat is doing all the moves so that they can mirror, and Mitch is like, oh. And of course, Kristen is sort of following the yoga, also half-heartedly, just cracking up about this.
I would laugh too.
It also seemed like, the yoga instructor didn't really know how to handle it, because she was like kind of laughing about it too, but like really awkwardly. Like she's like, but nobody's laughed in my yoga sessions before. Why are you laughing? This is serious. Very, very strange. What did you think of their sort of post yoga conversation?
Is this before they got their wedding box?
Yes, specifically just about him trying to relate their whole relationship to yoga and in an extended yoga metaphor. Do you remember that?
Not really.
Wow.
I guess it didn't land with
wow,
me.
Christy sees Mitch on the screen and she checks out, which is...
That's not true.
Oh, it's not true? Is it? Well, then why don't you remember anything about this conversation?
Because it must not have been like anything much that happened.
I don't know. I still...
What did you glean from it? Was there anything important?
Oh, wow. Trying to turn this back on me, huh? Well, I mean, it was a very strained metaphor.
As they usually are, which is why I didn't write it down probably.
Well, he was just basically trying to say, at least it seemed like to me, that like with their relationship too, there's a lot of straining and tension, and a lot of finding that place where like the tension finally releases and all of this. And the thing that I wrote down is he was talking about himself. There's so much in there to be released, talking about himself.
Oh, I'm remembering this now. I thought that was strange. It's like, what tension does Mitch have? I mean, it should be Kristen, the one that...
It's very stressful for him, okay, to be in a relationship. Especially with such a dirty capitalist.
Wow.
I mean, am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong.
Yes, from his perspective, that probably is stressful.
Yeah, I also do. I go back and forth. Like, I wrote down right after they got to the retreat that Kristen really needs to ditch Mitch because she's doing all the work. Because that's the impression I get a lot of the time, and I that may not be entirely fair because obviously we don't see a lot of it, but it seems like a lot of the footage we see is just Mitch putting his foot in it and like making things worse or more awkward. I mean, I've told you this before, but like every interaction Mitch and Kristen have, I'm just sitting there watching, being like, oh, Mitch, don't F this up, Mitch. Don't say something like you usually do and ruin this moment. You know, don't do it. Just don't say anything. Don't. And so, I mean, it may be a little unfair, and I'm going to say it probably is a little unfair despite what the entire internet thinks about Mitch. The internet is not a fan.
He's earned it, though.
I mean, he's earned it a lot. I'm not going to disagree with that. But I also don't want to totally negate potential growth. And I know that we sit here looking in and go, well, he hasn't really grown that much. And he doesn't really try that much. And just all of that. But I don't know if that's necessarily fair despite how ridiculous he is. But that's sort of, it's easy to have that knee-jerk reaction of just like, oh my goodness, just get rid of him. There's no hope here. Just boot him. So, yeah, their anniversary box. Talk to me about that.
Well, they each read their vows to each other again.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, like, speaking of growth, he's like...
Oh, that was so freaking funny to me.
He realizes that he could have done a better job of living up to his vows.
Yeah, it's specifically, the quote is, let's just say it's good for me to read this again. Oh, my goodness. I mean,
yeah, he needed a reminder.
That is hilarious. I just... what a great quote. I was laughing so hard because just the way that's phrased. Let's just say
he felt convicted in the moment.
Good, and that's part of, I think, why I sometimes struggle with Mitch, because I see the ridiculousness that everybody drags all the time, but I also do see this side of him where like he's not totally unaware of himself and his flaws, and he's not totally unaware that there is some changing he needs to do and all of that, as tough as it's been. And I hate to sit here and say good things about Mitch, but I do think that there is a measure of self-awareness here. Now, whether he can use that to really make the necessary steps, may be another conversation, perhaps. But that's sort of the feeling that I get there. What do you think? Yes or no?
I don't know. I'm still going to say no. I haven't seen enough from Mitch yet.
I know we still have the kind of breakdown later, but I don't know. I guess I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes for now. I'm sure everyone's yelling at me. Why are you saying that? They have no hope. But I don't know. I think they're old enough that this could work.
I mean, Kristen is a saint, so that's always a factor.
Yes, that's definitely a factor, and I think that, and we'll talk about this, but her speech at the end of this episode, I think it's easy to look at that and be like, oh, yep, they're doomed, but I think that there is a chance in that, and there is an opportunity there, like he was kind of talking about on After Party, where if she's able to like really stand her ground, because she's stood her ground before, but like that's kind of a new thing to really be like, I can't just constantly be like, let me protect Mitch's feelings. And
yeah,
so if she can really be that honest and he can react positively to that and live with that, that's a much healthier dynamic going forward.
I guess we will see.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stick with my yes for now, as wrong as that may be. We'll find out.
Well, let's
Justin and Alexis, or
sure.
Oh man, I still, what could have been. What could have been here?
I feel like at this point we've moved past the dog issue, but there's still like a lot of miscommunication and just.
Yeah,
she talks about how the bad days are draining.
Yeah, the bad days are.
Man, that's rough.
Yeah, especially if you have a lot of bad days, which
seems like they do.
Which it seems like they really do. I mean, she's just had that conversation with her friend, and just, I mean, her friend asked her, so if decision day was tomorrow, what would you say? And she was basically teetering between yes and no.
That's never a good sign.
No.
I mean, at least she didn't say no outright, but
I mean, I feel like this isn't much better.
She keeps saying that Justin doesn't self-regulate. I guess she's talking about his emotions with that.
Yeah, I think too, and just how much he always spirals. Like, anything can happen, and then he takes that, and I don't know if he's just overthinking it internally, or like he just has to continue whatever that is. He can't, as far as we've seen, he doesn't have the capacity to just take something that happens and then have it be done, and just like be like, okay, this is over, I could process this, but I don't need to beat it to death. Anytime we've seen him, it's just like this cycle of saying random stuff just over and over and over, and he doesn't, I mean, I agree with her. I don't think he can self-regulate. He just spins and spins and spins, and so, I mean, I can't imagine dealing with that, let me tell you.
Yeah, I feel like when I watch Justin, it's confusing. I don't understand what he's talking about most of the time. He seems to talk in circles a lot. And then when they argue, and then Alexis joins in, It's even worse.
Yeah, they really don't seem to understand each other at all.
No, they keep missing each other. I mean, that is what Justin said last week. He said no matter how many times I explain it, she just doesn't get it.
Right. I have a hard time believing in his true intentions sometimes. Because, like, when you say that's was sort of said in a pretty accusatory way.
Yeah, it's kind of mean.
Where it's like, bro, you bear a lot of that responsibility. Like, you can't just continue doing what you're doing and be like, oh, it's not working, but it's her problem. That's just not how it works. Like, you can't sit on your high horse or whatever it is, really, and be like, oh, I'm making perfect sense. Because clearly you're not. If there really is that big of a disconnect, like, Alexis isn't a moron. Like, what are you like? Alexis isn't a child. You bear so much responsibility for that, and I don't think he sees that.
You know what would be really helpful is if an expert stepped in.
No way, no freaking way. I'm pretty sure I was just screaming at you this entire time about why weren't the experts involved. there were so many times I was just like, where are the experts? What the frick? Where are they?
MIA.
I don't understand that. But yeah, they seem incapable of getting on the same page. And that is really tough to be in a relationship where you're not on the same page. And honestly, you know, I'm not going to absolve Alexis of responsibility, but I do think that a huge part of this falls on Justin. I'm just going to be totally honest about that. That's what I think.
I think he's not as good at communicating as she is.
I don't think he's good at communicating at all. not even that he's not as good at communicating as she is. And I don't even necessarily know that she's that great at communication either, but like, I just think he's bad at communication, and it's like he has a warped view of reality and how things come off, but also how he perceives things. And so it ends up in an unhealthy place so fast. And I do think that he bears a lot of responsibility for that.
Yeah, I also think he is just shutting down a bit too quick. Because, like, when they were making the scrapbook and he was talking about how, well, like, there's too many things to fix. We can't fix it all at once. There's not enough time to fix things. It's almost like he's, like, defeated about the relationship at this point.
Well, yeah, because he just sees all of these arguments they've had and all of his screw-ups and everything, and sees where things are, but I just still think it's hard for him to see what's going on and relate that in a meaningful way to himself and what part he may actually play in that, like accurately.
Oh, so he's mostly just blaming Alexis.
No, I'm not saying that he's mostly blaming Alexis. What I'm saying is that I think he just doesn't know what to do. So like he talks about his screw ups, and like he doesn't know how he'll fix all of his screw ups and stuff. But I think a big part of that is not so much, oh, how do I fix my screw ups? It's more like he knows he's screwed up, but he doesn't necessarily know 100% why. Because it's hard for him to make that leap and convert like what's happened to how did I actually play a part in this. You know, because a lot of it is just his spirals. Like something happens and he just gets on a roll and doesn't shut up. Like, I've written this repeatedly. Justin just needs to learn how to shut up.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that is just missing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Alexis says that in her ITM there that, you know, she just she's been hurt so much, and that, like, if they weren't married, she would leave. She said that before. Oof.
Well, yes or no on them?
I'm still gonna go with no. Shocker.
Definitely a no from me as well.
Shocker, especially since we have more to talk about with them when we get to the party bus. But you're no as well?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, I'm shocked. I am shocked. Yeah. Oh, well, oof.
Well, last one, Binh and Morgan.
Oh, I feel like we've had them as our last couple to discuss a lot this season.
I know, they're just...
Oh.
They're not fun to watch at all.
Well, it's just painful because they haven't been married this entire time. They're a hot mess, and like this is something that has been a burning question for me that I wanted to ask you about is, do you think that the bro vibe hurt their chances of success? And I'll explain what I mean here. So they're, in a lot of ways, they're very similar people. And so they were, like, from the beginning, they were very, like, it was more of this, like, oh, we could be best friends vibe because, oh, you work out 5 times a week, I work out 5 times a week. And, like, it seemed like it started from a place of, like, dudeness, if that makes sense, versus, like, a romantic footing.
I did pick up on that at the beginning.
And so it just never progressed from there. And so they've just sort of been roommates this whole time.
I don't even think that's, like, really the main issue. I think there's a lot of other stuff at play. I think that might be part of it, but I would put that, like, towards the bottom of the list of problems.
Okay.
They have.
Because the other thing was, do you just think that Morgan is too intimidating?
I mean, that could be part of it. She's very, like, kind of like in your face kind of thing. I don't know if all the martial arts type stuff.
I mean,
it's part of that, but
maybe I suspect more of it is that she's, again, it's a shield for her.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that last week.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we have to rehash the nurse drama again because they have been literally stuck there. Mm-hmm. They're stuck on the honeymoon, but not in a good way.
So much so that I now just refer to it as the incident TM.
And apparently, Binh is still talking to Justin about their issues, and she's like, "Thank God I'm close with Alexis, who's like telling me everything that Justin is getting from Binh."
Yeah, so let's just break this down a little bit because this is kind of there's a lot going on, and this doesn't really have a whole lot of bearing on. Well, I mean, it does because Alexis found out. But first of all, can we talk about the just awful phone etiquette that is on Justin's part?
He's got it on speakerphone.
Has he not heard of the whole, like, oh, if you're gonna be on speakerphone with someone, tell them they're on speaker.
Yeah.
What?
That's just common courtesy.
Am I the only one who was, like, raised in civilization? How, like...
It's weird that Alexis and Justin are part of the downfall of Binh and Morgan.
I mean, I feel like Binh and Morgan really didn't need that much help.
No, but this isn't helping.
Oh, definitely not. And I don't know. It's hard to maybe unravel this fully because maybe this is just some internalized stuff on my part, but like I have a hard time feeling that like Binh is 100% in the wrong despite being stupid.
I think I know what you're saying. I feel like I need to insert a tidbit from After Party here.
Give us the tidbit.
Because we didn't hear this at all during the regular episode, but apparently Morgan was fine if Binh talked to people outside of the Married at First Sight experience about their marriage, but she just didn't want him talking to people that are inside it, going through it. That doesn't make sense to me. If there is anybody you can talk to, it would be the people who are also married at, like, I don't understand that, but apparently if that was her like main stance, then why did Binh continue to talk to Justin, the one person she didn't want? I know Binh has to have friends like outside of this.
Yeah, I guess what I would say to that is I have almost no confidence that Morgan actually told him that. And maybe I'm just projecting here.
I mean, we'll never know, I guess.
But
that's coming from, that's secondhand from Alexis. So I don't even, like, right. We never saw that.
I just see that as being something that Morgan would tell to Alexis and just not tell Binh. And that's part of the issue that I've had with Morgan this season. And I'm sorry to just keep piling it on, but like she's been so adversarial this whole time. Like, yes. It just feels like from the very beginning almost. And I know the whole incident was the big kickoff of that, but like to a degree before, I mean, it wasn't nearly as severe, but like she's been very adversarial and like she's been looking for a way to sabotage this or like have this not work. Like she's just looking for any reason why it shouldn't happen. And so that's been a frustrating thing for me because I see Binh being an idiot and I'm like, well, he's an idiot, but I just don't see how you navigate this relationship as Binh. Like, yeah, even from the beginning, it just doesn't seem like there's really a good path for him. Because it's like, okay, and maybe I'm wrong here, but it just seems like if the incident TM doesn't happen, there's something else that she would have latched onto.
Well, she would have complained about him talking about finances and family so soon. Because that was the other thing. I mean, she just gets angry very quickly, which doesn't help. I mean, we saw like the living room footage of her being all mean, yelling at him in the apartment. And
mm-hmm. Well, so then she left mm-hmm. and went back to her place, I guess. And Alexis and Justin still figured into this because then I guess Binh went over to their place.
Yep, and then FaceTimed Morgan.
And yeah,
so now all three of them are on the line.
And then she gives Binh a royal chewing out over FaceTime.
Yep, and like yells at him to like leave, so he leaves their place. It's just weird that Binh just runs to them at the first sign of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely not a good instinct, but at the same time, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah, those are the people you would think you would like. I don't understand Morgan being like, don't talk with, like, that's what happens on Married at First Sight. Everyone talks about what's going on in their marriages with the other couples. Has she not watched the show?
Apparently not.
It's just weird that these people sign up for this show, but then don't want to.
Yeah, they don't want
to
do
the stuff that like Mitch with the shirt, or just there's things that happen along the way as part of this process. But now you're like, nah, I don't want to do that part.
Right, and I can see, I guess, the outside versus inside from the perspective of it's way more likely that, and this is part of why it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense as well, is like if you go to people in the show, chances are that is going to be on air. Mm-hmm. Whatever that is. But it's like, yes, that's true, but if you go to these great lengths to try to avoid this, that's going to end up on, like, your issues are going to be on screen.
They're going to come out.
That's the whole point of this show. We are here specifically watching because of your issues. Like, that's like the whole premise of this show. And so there's no way to avoid that. And so it makes sense. Like, if you weren't on this show, it's like, yeah, I would prefer, like, if somebody's going to need to vent about me, that they'd vent to somebody who, like, has no connection, so I don't run into that person in the grocery store and they're like, hey, I heard you were a butthole.
Yeah, it's way different in real life with your actual friends. Like, you don't want to air out your dirty laundry, your marital laundry,
right,
at a group dinner, but, like, on the show, everyone is supposed to. Like, we just had group therapy last episode. Yeah. That's not normal.
No, that's not normal to real life, but that is what you sign up for being on the show. So it just seems she has had very little buy-in to just this process and how everything goes from the beginning.
I guess it boils down to she's unreasonable, he's an idiot.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, and so
it's like, if you know she has this unreasonable request, okay, you may as well at least try and not go running to Justin the second something goes wrong.
Right, and so he just sees it as venting and like a way to cope, and that's not how she sees it. And so
no, she sees it as this huge betrayal of trust, and she kept repeating the phrase, "You've lied to my face," over and over and over again.
Which, I mean, I don't know if that's actually true. I mean, he definitely was trying to, like, protect himself in that conversation at first.
Yeah, I guess she's implying he told her he wouldn't talk to Justin anymore, but he still was. Which, like, don't say you're not going to do that if you are still going to talk to him. But.
Yeah, you definitely do need to follow through. And it's just, it is so painful watching this, because you just have no idea as well, like, the parameters that were set. And so, like, say for example, did she say it in such a way that it was like, you know, you like, we're talking about, you know, talking crap about me, I don't want you to talk crap about me. And so he viewed that as like, okay, I'm not going to talk crap about you, I need to vent my feelings. Or like, and not to say that's justified, I'm just saying, like, how we don't know how that played out.
It wasn't on camera.
Right, and how much room there was for misinterpretation and just all of that stuff. I mean,
it seems like
he should know by now.
Yeah, he should know he has no leeway with her. He can't talk to Justin about some things and not expect it to get back to her, I guess.
Also, again, why are you choosing Justin?
The one who can't keep a secret.
No. Or and the one who, as we know now, just has zero phone etiquette. Can you imagine?
And a wife who will just spill it back to her.
Right. Which, I don't know. I don't have a huge issue with Alexis doing that. Like, it is a little bit weird, but at the same time, like, if you're friends with someone and you're perceiving this as being like crap talking, and you know that there's an issue with it, I don't know. I don't really fault her for that, even though I feel like neither of them should have been involved.
I mean, it's a little shady.
It is a little bit, but at the same time, she did know. Like, everybody...
I wonder, did Alexis know that Binh wasn't supposed to be talking to Justin?
I think so, because the incident was a huge deal. Everybody knew about it. I mean, she wouldn't stop talking about it.
I guess I thought that incident was more about the fact that Binh didn't... I don't know, just didn't think she was a nurse, but I guess talking to Justin was part of it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is it's very confusing, because she doesn't give an inch, but she also doesn't necessarily communicate either, so there's a lot of just confusion.
Such a mess.
It's a huge mess.
I guess we should talk about the 1 month.
Yeah. How did you feel about that?
I mean, this is what we saw in the preview. Like, she comes to him all dressed up for no reason, really, since she had planned to just lay into him.
Well, you should say first. So before that, she went boxing to get some of her feelings out, and she said, I quote, "Binh doesn't know what's coming." Ugh. And that is a big part of talking about the adversarial.
It's so vindictive.
Like, how do you... oh, man.
But she arrives with all of that charged up energy. He tries to hand her roses, and she literally drops them on the ground, like almost throws them down. It's like, that's such a mean gesture. Like...
Yeah.
And then goes on this long rant about, I thought the man I married was going to care for me, have my back. You are not that man.
You are not that man. Oof.
My vows are not for you. That is so harsh.
Ah, man.
I'm going to give you one opportunity to explain.
Yeah, that is...
And then comes all the lying to my face, and...
That is tough.
You don't grasp what you've done. Respect is gone.
I noted that this would be a good time to have the experts.
They should have been waiting in the wings off to the side here.
I know, it's not like this is a huge surprise.
No, the producers know what's coming. Should have had both Kyle and Dr. Pepper. I mean, yeah, just off to the side.
Like, okay, guys. Okay.
Let's settle down here.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So then she goes to talk to her producer, and finally he comes over to her and says he'll own up to everything. So I guess that was enough for her to actually sit down with him.
It still just doesn't help, though.
She just looked so mad.
Like no amount of apologizing or anything is gonna make an iota of difference.
No, she's already made up her mind, I feel like.
Oh, absolutely. But that's the whole thing. It's like she is not divorcing him to punish him. That's literally what she said.
I wrote this down. It would be easy to walk away, but I want you to see me every single day to see how much you've hurt me.
Yeah. Like I said,
who
just
says
specifically
that?
To punish him.
Like, you're going to live with me for the next month in misery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes me feel very yucky inside.
Yeah, that's really... It just sounds mean.
It is mean. It's very mean. I mean, she's very much lost the thread in terms of what a relationship and what a marriage actually is supposed to be. I mean, you hear people talk about this. It makes the rounds on the internet a lot, but that idea of like when you're in a relationship, when you're married, like you're a team. And so stuff happens, life is hard, people are idiots, but it should always be the team against whatever that issue is, whatever's happening, because at the end of the day, that's what's important. And she's just bypassed all of that and been like, you are my enemy. I hate you. Mm-hmm. And it's tough to see. It's tough
That's
to
rough.
see. Because, I mean, I don't think that either of them are bad people or terrible people, but she's just sort of led from this place of deep hurt and unwillingness to live actually like she's married, and then just completely locked herself down at any stupidity on his part.
Yep, I think these two are doomed. They may as well pack it up now and go home.
I know, honestly, like, and I said, if I were him, I'd probably leave.
Yeah, like what is the point?
Yeah, there really is no point at this point. Like,
I mean,
if you hear that, is essentially, I'm not divorcing you because I want you to suffer as much as possible in the next month, so you understand how much you've hurt me. I'll be like, well, okay, goodbye.
yeah. I mean,
I will not be living in the same place as you.
no.
Goodbye. I'm going on vacation. I will be in Poland for the next 4 weeks. I will FaceTime in for decision day.
Yeah.
It's so tough. Like,
Yep, I think that's it for them. I don't see how you can come back from that.
yeah, I'm gonna say no as well.
Yep.
I don't see any hope. I mean, you kind of get that idea even more as you go into the group date at the end of the episode, as everyone gets on the party bus and there's no sign of Binh and Morgan.
No. That would not have been a good thing.
No, and everybody's like, where are they? And I was just like, they're not coming. They're not gonna be here.
I loved how Kristen was like, I would still go if Mitch didn't go.
I know. And then he didn't catch that initially. He's like, oh, you're talking about you would go without me. That was pretty funny.
I always love these group dinners. It's always something that happens.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you first though, what the frick is Alexis wearing?
A hot pink off the shoulder onesie.
She seems to have a lot of onesies.
I don't like that particular style of outfit, because if you have to go to the bathroom,
I know, you just have to completely
strip
you have to
down.
get naked.
I'm not a fan of that,
Like,
especially in a public bathroom.
Oh, time to pee. Well, gotta take everything off.
Yeah, now it's just like kind of drooped at the ground. Like, it's
Yep.
not the most practical outfit.
Yeah, now your onesie is unsanitary. Yeah, that was a lot for an outfit. What did you think about Nate's section here?
I mean, kind of just reiterated what he said earlier, like he's falling in love. She is his best friend. He did mention that thing about he has a more calm approach to things than Stacia, but
I don't know if I really believed anything he said here, to be honest with you.
oh, interesting.
I don't necessarily have a concrete reason for why. I just it's just the feeling I'm getting.
I think that she is his best friend. I feel like it might be a little premature to say that, but
I don't know. I just have very little trust here. I'm sorry.
at least Stacia says that she does have work to do on herself. So, I mean, they seem to be in a good place for now.
Allegedly.
Yeah, which is why I said yes for them earlier.
Yeah, again, I think that Stacia is making an effort, and so that really is the reason that I'm more optimistic.
Yeah.
I also, Lindy continues to freak me out.
Yeah, she says she's been able to get away with murder in previous relationships. Like, why would guys put up with whatever she's talking about.
I don't know. It's weird how she approaches life. It's like, why are you, I don't know, if I was like that, I feel like I would want to take steps to not be like that.
I mean, yeah,
maybe,
I think she's trying, I guess. Like, she knows she can't get away with that much with Miguel.
I guess I have the benefit of not being like that, and so it's probably easier to say if I was like that, I would try not to be like that. But it's kind of strange because it's like she's saying, I can't do this because Miguel will break up with me, essentially.
Yes.
So I have to behave myself. Which is like, why are you even putting it in that terms? Just don't be a maniac.
I know, that shouldn't be, you should not want to be that regardless.
Right, because as we've discussed on this show before, there is a difference between like being emotional and feeling and experiencing your emotions and then just like being unhinged.
I know, I'm curious like what she was doing in these previous relationships.
I don't know, and I'm not sure I want to know, to be perfectly frank.
So then it was Kristen and Mitch's turn. And I loved how she was like, yeah, Mitch should talk first. I think that was smart on her part. Mm-hmm. So Mitch says he has never lived with a girl, which, judging by the state of his apartment, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he did say that he was demanding and difficult, I believe is how he said it, which is true. Definitely the case. He is demanding and difficult.
On a journey of self-discovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Kristen just opens up all guns blazing. Though, as always, she starts with, you're an incredible man.
I know, gotta get that in first.
And then, yeah, tell me what happens here.
I really loved this rant she went on because it's about time.
Christy has been waiting for this moment for so long.
I know. She talks about how it's a struggle when you say, I'm not sure if I could be a husband. It's like, I came into this ready to be a wife. And you were like, not sure if this is the role for me, essentially. And she's also talking about how this relationship is being held up because I'm the one who's trying really hard and doing all the compromising. And eventually I'm going to snap if I'm not able to, like, be myself.
And again, I just interject here that as she's going on this rant, Alexis is like, ooh, it's better to lose Mitch than lose yourself.
Which I can't really disagree with.
Which is funny because Mitch actually was like, yeah. True.
I know he actually had like a good response here.
Right. Look, that's why I said yes, because I think he that's what I'm saying. It's like he knows that he is
a lot.
Which he did on the after party, and I don't know if I really believe this, but he did say that he was being more extra than usual.
Wow. Why though?
Again, it doesn't make any sense. It's like the Lindy situation. It's like why would you be more crazy? Like, just be normal and be yourself. What's wrong with that?
He does say that if she needs to snap, he wants her to. He doesn't want her to have to tiptoe around him.
Mm-hmm. Which is good. I mean, I guess we'll see.
If he holds up to what he's saying,
in practice, if that works. But yeah, again, like he's not unaware of his flaws.
Yeah, he's pretty self-aware.
It's just tough, I'm sure, to after having had those flaws for so long, and also having to not have made any change. Like, it's difficult to change.
That's the thing. It's like he's self-aware, but still does things like the shirt last week.
That was a lot. He just gets caught up in his own little world and forgets about other people's feelings and how they live their lives and how they view the world, I think. Again, not somebody like not a terrible person. It's just like it would have helped a lot if he had someone in his life a decade ago who's like, this is unacceptable. What are you doing? Wash your fridge.
I bet there was like a girlfriend at some point who was like thinking of moving in.
I don't know about that, because he said before that he hasn't really had any long-term relationships. So
I guess he just keeps driving people away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you've said this before, but just it really would have been best for him to just marry some other poor environmentalist.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's tough when you have that mismatch of ideology and drive for life. Like, Kristen's a pretty normal person. It's like, I want to work hard and I want to experience the benefits of that, and I want to do pretty well for myself. And Mitch is like, no, you gotta take care of the planet and not use any plastic and all of this stuff. And so it definitely would have been a lot easier if they had matched him with some other person who's like equally on fire.
Yeah, that's why they're a no for me, unless he can tone that down. But
yeah, I'm gonna remain optimistic despite all evidence to the contrary.
Well, Justin has seen a lot of growth in Mitch.
Oh man, that started a whole thing.
I know. Alexis was not pleased to hear this. So then, like, Justin asked her, like, what's wrong? And she's like, I don't want to talk. I want to listen instead.
You'd think he'd have learned by now not to poke that bear.
No, if she says that, just be quiet, keep eating your food, and move on. But no.
This is classic example of conversation you should have in the car on the way home.
I know. We see an ITM where Alexis is like, I didn't want to say that he's not making progress.
Oh my goodness, they're such a disaster.
I know. And then Justin's like, well, it bothers me that you aren't talking. Is something wrong? And then it just was a whole argument at the table. Like, Alexis says he's pouting, he doesn't self-regulate. Jekyll and Hyde. I guess there's stuff we haven't seen from Justin where he's like just going off the deep end.
I noted this down because this is not the first time that a Jekyll and Hyde comparison has been made on this show.
Was it Lindy?
It was Lindy. Yes. Yes, it was. It was Miguel comparing Lindy to Jekyll and Hyde, which I'm tempted to get into a whole literary analysis of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but I won't. But essentially, man, I do get her point here, and because we have seen this, like he has all this time where he's all sunshine and rainbows, like they had the honeymoon, and he was like, I love you immediately. And all this stuff where it's like, oh, you're my babe, you're my babe, you're my babe, oh, babe, oh. And like you have that, and then you also have this like constant spiral on the other hand where anything happens. And we had this here. And I kind of get frustrated on Alexis's behalf a lot because, and he said as much, he like gets so fixated in a specific like moment of time that he forgets that there's been all of this life and experience before that informs that moment. And so she's there like talking about what's going on with her, and that's informed by everything that's happened between them, and it's a continuation of that. And he just sees, oh, but like I didn't do anything right now. Like, why are you so upset? Like,
yeah.
Like what like how did I not keep my promises right now? like that's not the point. It's the point. The point is like all of this is bubbling to the surface now because you're continuing to prod her when she doesn't want to be prodded, and so she's going to bring up the issues overall. It's not that you're sitting at this table breaking a promise actively. Like, he just doesn't get that.
Yeah, they were arguing about different things.
Right. And so they stay on different pages because he doesn't have the ability apparently to see things as a whole and see things how she has perceived and experienced things, from her perspective. And so we end up in the place where we ended up, where
it was such
she's
a mess.
Off crying in the bathroom with Stacia, and he's complaining to a producer.
Yep.
Ugh.
She says, I have to keep appeasing him, calm him like a baby, is what she said to the producer. That is...
No, it was Stacia. She was in the bathroom with Stacia.
Oh, did Stacia get up too?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, that's... whenever you get the footage of the person in the bathroom with the door closed and the mic's still on,
yeah,
it's trouble.
Uh-huh. Yes, it is. Oh, man, they had so much potential. I say this every week. Oh, they had so much potential. And here we are. That is tough. We've found out later on the after party that they all had to take the party bus back, and Justin sat in the passenger seat up front with the driver while everybody else sat in the back together.
That's so awkward.
That is incredibly awkward.
I mean, even just everyone else around the dinner table was just like...
They're like, do I have to be here? Well, is there anything else you want to mention from the after party?
Apparently Alexis and Justin are still celibate. They have tried, but not had success.
I don't know what that means.
She also said didn't manifest itself. So, like, is he just unable to? Like,
I don't know if she was talking about, like, he's unable to manifest an erection, or, like, I don't...
That's what it seemed like they were alluding to, but that wasn't entirely clear on that. I don't understand the phrase, we have tried, but no... Like, that
tried with no success.
Sense.
I don't understand. I feel like they started with such a screwed up view towards sex in their relationship that's kind of continued. I will say probably the biggest issue I've had with Alexis this entire time is how she shouted across the room about his celibacy.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that was so strange.
That's something that Morgan would have held a grudge about forever.
Yeah.
That's something that you should kind of, like, just keep that to yourself. What are you... that rubbed me the wrong way, and that seemed to kind of get things off on the wrong foot, in my opinion, from a physical intimacy perspective.
The other thing from After Party is that I feel like Mitch comes off a lot better on After Party, especially since, from what we can tell, they filmed these like pretty recently, like after the season has started, as episodes are going. And so he's been able to watch himself on TV and see how he comes across and be like, yeah, I'm kind of a lot. Yeah, and
look, if anything, I feel like if it accomplishes nothing else, I think this season has perhaps accomplished Mitch becoming a better person to a degree.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if, I mean, I don't know if they're together or not, but like if they aren't, it seems just a lot of retrospective, like, oh, I see why we didn't work out.
Right. We won't know for a while.
Yeah.
We're only 10 episodes in, 40 more to go. But yeah, I think that someone like Mitch does really benefit from being under the microscope like that, and then seeing himself under the microscope. Because we've talked about, like, it's not like he has no self-awareness. Like, he knows, but it's hard to see the actual impact of that. So I feel reasonably confident saying that I think Mitch has become a better person through this process. Whether or not, they are still together, have ended up together, but I think it has been positive for him, and maybe work some positive change. Because I mean, it would be hard for me to behave like that and then see it played back.
Yeah.
That would be a real wake-up call.
I mean, I don't see how it couldn't be. It's like, wow.
Well, there are a lot of people, like, I don't remember her name, the woman who I saw at the end of last season. Was her name Lindsay?
Yeah.
Who had, like, the letter that she read to the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Basically saying, "You're welcome. You're welcome. I made your life so better."
Yes, that was Lindsay.
So some people, not so much. But I think he does have the necessary puzzle pieces, perhaps, to take that and actually learn from that. But we'll see. It'll be very interesting to, obviously, to get to decision day, but even more interesting, in my opinion, to see the reunion.
Yes. Which actually was, I don't know when they filmed that, or if they have or not, but that'll be interesting.
Oh, yeah. Lots to look forward to. Christy, how can people get in contact with us?
You can email us at groupdatespod@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at groupdatespodcast.
And find us on YouTube as well. I feel like I didn't have you do that for our last Bachelorette episode, but maybe I'm just crazy. There's been a lot going on for group dates and hot takes, let me tell you. So much on the Bachelorette side, so much on the Married at First Sight side. It is constant excitement, and I'm so glad that we are here for this exciting history, able to bring it to you